Okay, students, this is Professor Kalamanis. Today we're going to talk about revising for research. So we're going to just talk about our primary goals on revising, how to build your essay, and using sources and citing them. So try to remember that your paper is really your own ideas, not the other way around. So students have gotten into this habit of, cutting and pasting. And what we're trying to do at the college level is to teach you to kind of think for yourself and then use a lot of information behind you, right? So the textbook talks about they say this and I say this. And we want to just kind of distinguish when it's your voice and when it's somebody else's voice. So remember that the primary goal is putting all of this into your own words, trusting your own voice. And I always say that's what authoring is, right? You are an authority. So some researchers that have worked with college students, Kate Mangelsdorf and Evelyn Posey, have determined that there are 3 principles that can really help you. 1 is to put things in your own words. 2 is to quote sparingly, and 3 is to document your sources. So if you just keep those 3 things in mind, right? I'm the one talking. I use less of other people's ideas, and I make sure that I document where I got those ideas from. Okay, so here's all the people behind you, right? This is the research that you found, right? There's the article that you read, the video that you watched, talking to the librarian, finding things. So just a few things to remember. You want to limit your sources to 10 to 20% of your paper. So that means that mostly what you're doing is writing the paper yourself. You use other people's ideas to support yourself. If you want to use a direct quotation, remember to just use a small piece of that. It has to be something that you can't put into your own words. So if there's some kind of piece of information, then remember to introduce the signal material, right? So if I'm writing a paper and I say something like, college students who work their way through are doing better. Unlike students who are dependent on large checks from their parents, working students are self-reliant and independent because they pay their own bills every month. They realize the college has value in it getting a well-paid job. They learn how to manage their time well. I believe that my husband and I are happy and financially stable. And so we think about how students are going to add those voices. Notice that as I was talking and I said, working your way through college has many advantages. And then I switched into some other voice. This is what happens if you don't do this, where you say, according to. So if I were to say, working your way through college has many advantages, according to Audrey Rock Richardson, she says that she was happy and financially stable as a direct result of learning how to manage her time and money in college. So you can hear how that signal phrase tells the reader that it's not me talking, instead of it switching into this other voice. So that's one way that students can improve their writing. Then remember to indicate where you've obtained this. Now, I know you know this. Everybody's afraid that they're going to plagiarize or make a mistake somehow. So just remember to just do the best you can in the body of the essay and at the end of the essay. Okay, so things to keep in mind. How do you use your sources, right? These are 5 major areas, right? When you're planning, when you're putting together your work, cited, summarizing or paraphrasing, signal, phrases, and highlighting. So you use your sources in ways that you can't just talk about this yourself, right? So students are not the experts on these topics. You're using expert information unless you're doing your own research. So you want to think about those signal phrases to foster better writing in your ideas, and also just highlight things to prove your point. But try to trust yourself when you're talking about these issues. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Here's a timeline. This is the writing process, which we've talked about a few times during the semester. And you can see that there are, on the top line, there are things that are sort of supporting your writing. And on the bottom line, other ways that you're approaching the work, right? So I always say the pre-writing is what your professor has given you to read. your reflections, summary, and analysis. Drafting is your own ideas. Sometimes I let you draw pictures, as you know, or I'll ask for bullet points. And then revising for research, that's after the library session, after we've talked about finding outside sources. In the editing, you might want to think about your MLA text citation and your works page. And then proofreading, where you're working on your sentences. Really important thing here is the citations. Remember that there's two different kinds of citations. One is what happens inside the body of the text. So as you're writing and you're reading along, working your way through college has many advantages, unlike students who depend on large checks from their parents. Working students tend to be self-reliant and independent. Here's a quote from a magazine article. I believe that my husband and I are happy and financially stable as a direct result of learning to manage time and money. So says Audrey Rock Richardson. All right, so you can hear that in-text citation. The works cited page is just the facts. You list everything, author's last name or website, as much information as you can provide, and knowing which format to use. Okay, so how do we get there? We're going to just remind you, right? Use your own words, quote sparingly, and document your sources. All right, so thanks so much for joining me. One last thing I want to say to you, and that is, at this college, we believe in supporting our students 110%. By using your skills to revise a draft for research, English writers learn to be agile and to create logical process for researching at the college level. Student writers thrive because of our faculty, our librarians, and our teaching, which includes sources for academic exploration. We know that it takes a great team behind our students to learn this process. Still, every paper can improve. As the great poet Ellen Bryant Voigt says, it's all a draft until you die. All right, so thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you luck on your papers. Congratulations, and just keep at it. You can do this.